Hello and welcome to ESAT. I am Guji Violence with the news. Over 50 houses went up in smokes as clashes between the Guji and Gedio communities in southern Ethiopia resumed yesterday. The violence, which has resumed after a month-long lull, has so far resulted in the deaths of over 200 people and the displacement of some 270,000 people. A recent assessment conducted by the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in Gedio zone found that at least 274,500 people were displaced from West Guji to Gedio zone following the violence that erupted along the regional boundary in mid-April. According to the report, some 84,000 people were also displaced in West Guji zone. More than 4,000 houses were reportedly burned down or damaged in West Guji and livelihoods destroyed. According to ESAT sources, yesterday's clash between the two communities was reported in the town of Gadab, a transportation route to Moyale. The sources say the road to Moyale was shut down. Exact figures were hard to come by, but thousands were feared displaced from Guji to Gedio zone following yesterday's violence. Several coffee processing factories, businesses and vehicles were destroyed in the conflict between the two communities. 11 more people, including 6 children, were killed in April. A report by the Financial Times says Chinese companies, which are the major investors in Ethiopia, are finding it difficult to get loans from their creditors to finance projects in the East African country. Chinese banks and credit insurance companies are worried about Ethiopia's increasing debt and foreign currency crisis, according to the Financial Times report. ESAT reported last week, based on its sources at the National Bank of Ethiopia, that the country's foreign currency reserve was at an all-time low, only enough to cover 2 weeks of imports. The report said business people, diplomats and bankers said Chinese entities which have loaned more than $13 billion between 2006 and 2015 for everything from roads and railways to industrial parks were now taking a more cautious approach to Ethiopia. The Chinese have said they have reached their limit. Financial Times quoted one diplomat in Addis Ababa saying, "Two investors said that Sinosure, China's main state-owned export and credit insurance company, was no longer extending credit to insurance to Chinese banks for projects in Ethiopia as willingly as it used to." There is a new reluctance to back investment in Ethiopia. The report quoted one investor as saying, "It's not completely clear why, but it appears they are worried about the debt profile and forex crisis." The Financial Times report recalled that the International Monetary Fund forecasts growth of 8.5% this year, which it said represents a fall from the highs of recent years. Andy Tsege, the Ethiopian political prisoner released last week, said he thought he would never see his family again and that he was very sad to have missed out on 4 years of his children's lives. "I suspect they could just kill me and dump me somewhere," he said in an interview on Victoria Live.
I suspect that in fact they could just kill me and dump somewhere, because I was abducted and there was no, as far as I was concerned, I believe that no one noticed it, that abduction.
And it's quite extraordinary. You are a British Ethiopian, you are a prominent member of an exiled political party. You were actually in Yemen at an airport when you were abducted by the Ethiopian authorities. Tell our audience about that. What did they do?
Yeah, I was traveling from Dubai to Asmara, Eritrea, and there was transit, it was the Yemeni Airways, and it's transit at the Sana'a airport. So the plane arrived there and they put us in a bus to take us to a waiting room. And we went in there and then they had to transport us to another waiting room. But the moment I got into the bus, they shut the door. I was the only one there. I was the first one to go into it. And then they drove the bus into a place, some kind of, a dead-end place within the airport, and some shabby room. These are the Yemen intelligence service guys. And they kept me there for 6 hours until probably the chartered plane that brought the Ethiopian intelligence services to take me to Ethiopia, completely blindfolded, handcuffed at the back, all the tape around my eyes, just left a space for my nose to breathe.
Right, so a tape across your eyes.
Yes.
What about your mouth?
Everything.
Everything?
And they put a sack over my head.
And a bag over your head?
Yes, and then they handcuffed me as well, put my hands at the back. And so I believe it was a small plane because the steps were very few to go into it.
That ends the news. Have a nice time.